Hello everyone and welcome. Sit back, relax, and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for news stories from Yellowcat. Write your favorite stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. Let's get started. Which act of retaliation at work has ever satisfied you the most? Part 2. My line of work is consulting engineering, and we set our rates based on the number of hours we work. It's very similar to the way that attorneys measure their time. In light of the fact that I have been working on a number of significant projects, I've been making an effort to keep track of my hours and ensure that they are accurate. I do, however, have one boss who I absolutely despise. With his poor management skills, he constantly micromanages the staff, provides them with inadequate to non-existent guidance, and then throws them under the bus because they inevitably make a mistake as a result of his poor management abilities. He never reads anything that we send him, and whenever he receives a phone call or email from a customer, he goes into a kind of panic attack and begins to demand that people drop everything they're doing in order to attend to his minor emergencies. At one point, I was required to drop everything in order to assist him in rotating a page on Adobe PDF. I am required to come in early every day before he arrives in order to complete this significant project that I'm working on with him. Furthermore, he desires for me to leave the office after he has left. In addition to that, he wants me to work on the weekends as well, and I'm hesitant to come over for about half of those days. Due to the fact that he did not read the guidelines that the client provided to us, the majority of this time is spent redoing work that we have already completed but that he made a mistake on. Since June, things have been going on in this manner, and we have not yet completed this project for the time being. How can I exact my sweet revenge? Well, it's easy. I charge him for a half hour of my time whenever he asks me to do something with my time. Is that little thing that rotates PDF files? When I went to his office to rotate a PDF for him, it took me 2 minutes, but I charged him $30 for the service. On all of these really long days where I'm working for more than 10 hours a day, what do you think? Yes, I request 10.5 hours of payment. I keep taking short bursts of time away from this project, and it's getting worse. He is the only person for whom I do this endeavor. That he does not really check the amount of time we charge for any of his jobs is a fortunate circumstance for me. What purpose does this accomplish? We don't receive overtime pay from my employer. However, if we are required to work long weeks, they do provide us with comp time, which can be thought of as an additional time off for working more than 40 hours per week, according to our pay schedule. My boss is an associate, and he does not get comp time. He is required to toil away on each and every one of his bad weekends without receiving any additional compensation, and he must do this on his own time. Meanwhile, I have accumulated 5 weeks worth of vacation time, and I have made it a point to ensure that I'll be taking all of that vacation time off within the next year. In addition, this is in addition to the 4 weeks of vacation time that I have already set aside for myself. If I wanted to, I could take 9 weeks off from work the following year, and my employer would be unable to prevent me from doing so. My boss had a fight with her boss, and boss's boss vowed to destroy her and everything she cared about. He was also going to destroy me since my boss had worked hard to put me where I was. While I wasn't fired or officially demoted, I was moved up in the company hierarchy and given the same job I had 4 years before. For 2 days, I was mad. Then I worked on my resume and sent it to everyone in my big company. 3 months after it happened, I was watching someone load my crap into a moving van. A month after it happened, I was flying across the country to interview for a job at the most prestigious R&D company in my field. 2 weeks after I started my new job in the same company but a very different division, the bad guy was fired. I never had to file a grievance. My silent determination to get out from under him was the loudest scream, and losing a very promising person made the company really look into him. Got my degree, but my current job wouldn't let me move up. I told my boss I was looking for a new job and moved in a professional way, leaving on good terms. I got a big raise at my new job, but I quickly learned it wasn't at all like the DBA job I had interviewed for. I was supposed to learn a secret programming language that my new boss made instead of managing databases. There was no written record, and if anyone tried to learn and asked a question, he acted like they were stupid. I had a review after 3 months. I got a raise and was told I was doing great. Even though my boss scolded me, I kept learning and working hard. After 3 months, I was called back to another meeting with my boss and his boss. They told me I wasn't meeting expectations, but they wouldn't say how. They also told me to sign a paper that put me in a lower position and cut my pay by a lot. I was told I'd be fired if I didn't sign. I signed and started looking for another job right away. Someone from my old job told me about you, so I called them. She told me she'd be happy to do it, but I should have known that she'd just put in an application for a new job that I'd be perfect for. I agreed that it would work after we talked about it. I had interviews and got the job at a higher salary than the one my new company had given me at the start. It was the only thing that they couldn't hire me until January 1st, and it was October. That was fine with me. I made the most of my 3 months off and did almost nothing at work during that time. The last week of the year is when I planned to go on vacation. I turned in my laptop and letter of resignation that went into effect right away on the last business day of the year. They were shocked when I told them I was leaving. I had a terrible 40-year-old woman who got a job selling things at my job. She seemed nice at first, but I kept hearing that she said bad things about everyone who worked there. People would hear her talk badly about the store manager and the SM. Anyway, this 40-year-old lady told my SM that I was trying to take over the SM's job. This made no sense to me. I didn't even like my job that much. That month, I forget about it, but I wanted to let the 40-year-old know how I felt, so I texted her that I wasn't trying to take over. I wasn't rude or used bad language. Even though she tried to call me back, I couldn't because I was in a class seminar. When I talk to her, she asks who told me that and says she didn't say anything about me. This housewife then calls the SM and gets very angry with her. My SM and I keep our cool. SM told her she wasn't sure what she was talking about. It was clear that this hag was shocked when someone replied to her. The incident happened a while ago, but this hag acts like it didn't happen on my first shift with her. A few weeks later, the franchise manager, the person above the store manager who's in charge of not 1 but 5 other stores, finds out what happened and tells this hag that she will be fired if she says anything to me about it. Nothing gets worse, but customers complain about how rude the hag is, and the head office of the company is told about it. One last warning is given to her. She might not be able to go to work for another 2 weeks because she broke her ankle. Thank God, she's not working for 6 weeks. I was almost ready to quit the company to take a better, higher-paying job when I heard she wouldn't be coming back for some reason. Yay! I'm glad I won't have to see her anymore, especially since the store is in a shopping center close to me. What HOA-related incident makes you angry or resentful? Part 2. This is a long story. In 2011, my wife and I built a house in Phase 2 of a really nice neighborhood. The neighborhood had been built during the real estate boom, but hadn't had any new activity for a few years. We were the first house to be built in Phase 2. To give you an idea of the types of homes that were in there, in 2006, lots were going for $110,000 and higher. We bought ours for $40,000. Anyway, after we start building our house, another one break ground across the street from us. Homeowners in Phase 1 see the foundation of the new house and freak out. They invited us to their HOA meeting to discuss the issue. The guy who was leading the meeting, Dennis, was extremely friendly to us and made sure our voices were heard in the meeting. Apparently, the new house was being built by a contractor who only builds one type of house. He will go in a neighborhood and build 20 of them. Phase 1 didn't want that to happen. When we left, we were assured we would all work together in this matter. Fast forward 5 months. The contractor has already built 5 of those houses. I get home for my lunch break and see that the owner of Phase 1 put a concrete barricade to separate the 2 phases. Their reasoning was the construction was creating too much traffic in Phase 1. With the barricade up, owners in Phase 2 now only had one exit. Many times my wife and then infant child would be unable to leave because of trucks blocking the exit from Phase 1. This barricade stays there for several months. We contacted the sheriff and boatloads of other people, and no one could do anything. In the fall of 2011, I'm walking my dog and see the barricade was gone. I get really excited until I see it was replaced by a gate. The gate had a large padlock on it, so we were still stuck with a single exit. Phase 2 homeowners banded together and went to the developer. Things looked like they were getting better until other residents in Phase 1 started talking to each other. Turns out, Dennis, the nice guy above, was solely behind this entire ordeal. He was suing the developer on behalf of Phase 1. He put the barricade in place, and he gave the developer a deadline. Within a week, if the developer didn't pay Phase 1 owners a sum of money, he was going to shut off the water to Phase 2. Phase 1 homeowners found out about this and raised H. My neighbor went out in the middle of the night and pulled down the gate with his truck. Dennis skipped town for a few days and then wouldn't answer his door or phone calls when he got back. The developer reached a tentative agreement with Dennis. Our water stayed on and the barricade stayed down. My wife and I decided enough was enough and put our house on the market. It sold in one day and we never looked back. My husband and I moved into an old townhouse that had been turned into 4 separate units. Each floor was turned into a different unit. We thought it was a good thing that the building had low HOA fees when we were young. Unfortunately, this meant that any repairs to the building had to be approved by a special committee. This was a brick building that was over 100 years old and needed to be repointed. I was president of the HOA until I couldn't handle how annoying the group was. The only other owner would agree with the last person who spoke. One was an investment property owner who would just agree with what made sense, and the last person was an A-hat. There were several bids, and we chose one. The work was done, and it passed the special assessment. The whole annoying but right process. The jerk, Ted, chose not to pay his rent, which was about $3,000. Okay, the HOA finally hired a lawyer to put a lien on his unit, but he kept asking the lawyer questions, which cost the company a lot of money in legal fees. By some miracle, he pays the lien and we can sell from that broken down building. Good job, everything went well, but the worst was about to begin. We find out the night before closing that Ted is going to sue the HOA. We were able to close, thank goodness, because it was an all-cash deal and the lawsuit wasn't directly about our property. Ted then got really angry and sued my husband directly for what he did while he was president of the HOA we weren't even in anymore. Lasted for about 8 months before the judge finally threw him out of the case. The HOA won and got all of their costs back. But those 8 months were the worst of my adult life so far. Effing jerk. When I was a kid, I lived in a stunning neighborhood, and those are some of the most memorable times of my life. However, the board was filthy to the extreme. During that time, we had a pickup truck, and because we live in New York, it was required to have commercial license plates. The commercial lots were approximately 1 mile away from our properties. On account of the fact that it was frequently the only vehicle we had, the board is going to give us a lot of crap about it. We were in close proximity to one of the wives of directors of the condominium board. Also, you were only allowed to have 1 vehicle per lot and 1 vehicle per lot. She not only had 2, but she also had 2 stickers that indicated that she was disabled. It's against the law to possess more than 1 to each individual. My dad filed a complaint about her with the condo board as well as the police. She was humiliated in front of the board and humiliated by the removal of one of her handicap stickers. Never again did you do that to us. Moreover, the commons fees went up significantly in order to cover the cost of all roofing replacement. A quick calculation revealed that there were several $1 million that were not necessary. The head of the roofing company turned out to be the brother of the owner of the condominium board. There's nothing quite like authentic embezzlement. Residents of the community expressed their displeasure, resulting in riots. In the course of events, additional questionable maneuvers on the part of this board member came to light. A decision was made to send a request to the city for an audit of the HOA. This resulted in the removal of the board member as well as significant fines. They were forced to sell their home to pay all the fines. A fair vote was used to select a new board member. If you want to watch the part 1, click the link here. Thank you for listening to these stories. If you want to see new videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the like button.